Good morning and welcome to the Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church. My name is Donna McCartney and I'm honored to be your worship associate today. I'm joined by our minister, Reverend Sean Wilshire, Steve Moore-Hero, and Susan Shaw, our musical directors, and Danielle Lewis, who is our Director of Religious Exploration for Children and Youth. So learning that one, that switch. Some of you noticed. We're glad you have joined us today. A special welcome to our visitors. If you're seeking a spiritual home, we hope you will find it here. We're a community of friends, music, learning, and love. All are welcome. We need not think alike to love alike. In the spirit of building this community, let's recognize the many volunteers who have helped put this service together today. Thank you all so much. Roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. And Zoomers, good morning, Zoomers. We invite you to say hello in the chat. As we worship today, we want to acknowledge that this property rests on the ancestral homelands of the Hashiman and Tongva peoples. We worked to heal the harm done to them many years ago by nurturing responsible stewardship and by working for social justice. So today is Question Box Sunday. Reverend Sean will do her best to answer any questions you may have. They can be questions about life, the universe, the congregation, or any topic you fancy. Reverend Sean is open to whatever is on your mind today. We begin our worship service with the lighting of our chalice. Let's say our unison affirmation together. Love is the spirit of the church, and service is its law, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth and love, and to help one another. This we affirm together. So please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing our opening song.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your heart, everyone. Open your heart, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Okay, there we go. All right, let's all polka together. So, welcome to this community of seekers, of questioners, and of those open to revelation in all its forms. It is Question Box Sunday. So yeah, this is a popular one. In this Sunday, you get to ask me questions about our faith, about theology, about something I once said that you're still like, what was she talking about? You could do it about God, you could do it about doubt, you could do it about grief, about the world today, about why we do that one strange thing in worship. And yes, you may ask the thing you're not sure is quite church appropriate. Don't worry, I will weed them out. Okay. So, if you're visiting today, welcome. This is a great time for you to ask anything about Unitarian Universalism, or ministry, this church, everything, I promise you if it's on your mind, other people are wondering themselves. And it's also something that I've noticed is that even people who've been around for a long time may not remember some of the basics even. So ask those questions. You're totally fine. In a few minutes, Roomers, you noticed that you had a piece of paper when you came in. We also have pencils if you needed them. You can write your question out. You can ask more than one question on that piece of paper if you like. And of course, Zoomers, you can write it in the chat. I'll be inviting you to do that. We're going to take a moment for you to think about questions as well. So today we're going to be practicing brave curiosity. And I can't promise that I'm going to have all the perfect answers, but I will promise that I will answer honestly, thoughtfully, and faithfully. Because in this tradition, questions are not signs of a weak faith. They're signs that we're brave, that we're curious, and strong enough to live with unanswerable questions. So, put on your thinking caps. What do you want to ask? And you can continue to think about it as the choir sings.
Even dreams fall apart in the wind and the rain. Wild waves of storm rush in, and nothing is ever the same. When your whole life's been washed away, and it's hard to see the light, you just call on a friend with a hand to lend, and together we'll be alright. 'Cause we're all in this together, in the good times and the pain. We can't wait till the storm is over. We gotta learn to work in the rain. When your faith is drowned in a river of lies, when hope is washed away and courage is hard to find, you gotta keep your head above water. Hold on and believe. Just reach out to a friend with a hand to lend, and those waters will soon recede. 'Cause we're all in this together, in the good times and the pain. We can't wait till the storm is over. We gotta learn to work in the rain. In every life the rain will fall. That's just the way it must be. Yes, the waters will rise, but if hope comes alive, even the storms can set us free. So it's up to you and me, 'cause we're all in this together, in the good times and the pain. We can't wait till the storm is over. We gotta learn to work in the rain. Yes, we're all in this together, in the good times and the pain. We can't wait till the storm is over. We gotta learn to work in the rain. Oh, we gotta learn to work in the rain. We gotta learn to work in the rain.
Today's Time for All Ages is called The Many-Colored Quilts of Love. In a small town nestled between rolling hills, there stood a bright and welcoming meeting house. Inside, people of all ages gathered each week. Some were young, some were old. Some came with big families, and some came all by themselves. One day, the children noticed a large wooden frame at the front of the room. Beside it was a basket filled with fabric scraps. Red, blue, gold, green, striped, spotted, soft, and sparkly. "What are we making?" asked a child named Maya. "A quilt," said her elder, smiling. "But it's not just any quilt. It's a quilt of love." Each person who was invited to choose a piece of fabric that felt like them. Some picked bright colors, some picked quiet, gentle shades. Some pieces were smooth and neat, and others were frayed around the edges. As they worked, a few children worried. "My pieces don't match," one said. "It's too plain," said another. The elder gently replied, "Love does not ask us to match. Love asks us to belong." So they stitched the pieces together carefully, patiently, and sometimes making mistakes and fixing them again and again. They listened to one another's stories. They shared laughter and sometimes tears. With every stitch, they added kindness, respect, curiosity, and courage. When the quilt was finished, it did not look perfect. It was full of different colors and textures and shapes, but when they wrapped it around themselves, it was warm, very warm, and the children understood something important. It was not one piece that made the warmth, it was all the pieces together. From that day on, whenever someone new came to the meeting house, they were invited to add their own piece to the quilt. Each time they did, the quilt grew bigger and bigger, and so did the love. Because in their community, love was not something you had to earn, it was something you helped create. I ask you to please join us as we sing our religious exploration classes out to their classes.
So just so you know, the kids today are going to be playing with watercolors and learning how to paint with watercolors. So if any adult would like to join them, I don't blame you. Just putting that out there. Linda Sperry, our very lovely Linda Sperry, is going to be teaching them. So, all right, so this is Question Box Sunday. This is your chance to ask me questions, truly, whatever you like. They can be theological, as I said, about life, death, Jesus, Buddha, prayer, doubt. They can be about this church, the ministry, the governance, the programs, the direction. They can be spiritual, ethical, justice-oriented, deeply personal, or broadly philosophical. Nothing is off limits in spirit, but time is of a limit. So, I'll have to cut us off at some point. So, but to give you a sense of the range of some of the questions that we've had in the past, for example, they've been simple questions like, what adult education are you going to be offering this year, for example? Another one that I thought was really fun, some of them more complex, like, for inner peace, do you like the serenity prayer? I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Or if not, what tools would you suggest? Why is community better than individualism? There's a bit of a bias in that question. Why does morality matter? So you can go from logistics to the meaning of existence, in other words. In about 30 seconds, we can do that. So that's kind of who we are. So 2 important reminders. I want to remind you that there's no such thing as a bad question, okay? And if you're wondering it, someone else is probably as well. So here in the room, you've been given pieces of paper for your question. If you would like another piece of paper or you didn't get one, raise your hand and one of the ushers will bring you over a piece of paper. We also have pencils as well. You can raise your hand for a pencil if you would like that too. And let's see here, if that's in the room. If you're on Zoom, go ahead and write your questions here in the chat. And let's see here. So I do encourage you to put your name on the question. I won't read your name out loud, but sometimes it helps me, knowing who's asking helps me put it into context. But it's also fine if you just want to ask it anonymously. That's fine. So I just want to invite you to just take a minute now. So you're like, I don't know what to ask. It's okay. Take a deep breath. Relax and just sort of think and sit with it for a while. What do you want to ask? And also know that if you don't have a question now, but something comes to your mind later, you can simply come up and hand it to me. Let's just take a few minutes. Let's see where our curiosity takes us, and we'll join, I believe, Amy in singing a song while you're still thinking about it. When you're ready, you can join in.
We can do both, right?
Yeah.
This song has 4 parts. And I'm going to model them for you. The choir is going to model them. We're going to sing each one twice. So 1 twice, 2 twice. Then after we get through that, you guys pick whichever one you want to sing the most. And then you continue to singing until we all stop. Steve's going to actually stop us. He's in charge, so don't worry. We won't sing all day. And I will continue to model a different one. I'll cycle through, so if you want to sing with me whenever I do it, you can pick the one I'm doing. Okay? All right. Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Pick one. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Mystery, mystery. Life is a riddle and a mystery. Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Where do we come from? Where are we going? Where do we come from? Where are we going?
The ushers are picking up slips of paper. The Zoomers are asking. And here, so she's going to go through them. as we do this. So let's see. So last time I did this question box Sunday, Craig over here sent me a ton of questions, and I wasn't able to get to all of them. So I'm going to start off while the ushers are collecting your questions, and Donna's going to go through and find the ones that she thinks would be fun to really answer. And I'll try to get through all of them, just no guarantee. I'm going to start with some of the questions that Craig asked me. So one of which was, why do ethics matter? Which I thought was an interesting question to do. Well, first of all, ethics shapes how we are to live together, right? So it's all about relationship. We are interdependent with one another. If we don't have ethics to tell us to be honest or reliable or make our commitments, all those things, generosity, those things then fall apart. Those relationships fall apart, right? And they also help form the self, right? We get a sense of ourself when we have values and ethics. The other thing is because the reason why we need ethics is because power exists and vulnerability, people who are vulnerable exist as well. And so we need to be able to live, we need to know what our ethics are so that we can make sure power is not abused and that the vulnerable are also not abused. So the biggest thing I think also is it just creates trust in a society. It's sort of ethics are like our invisible structure about how we interact with one another. Because if we didn't have ethics, right, then life becomes very transactional rather than relational. And we are relational beings. That's simply how we are. So that's my answer for you, Craig. All right. Let's see here. Also asked, what happens after we pass from this life? I'll let you know when that happens. I always actually tell everybody who, as part of my morbid sense of humor, is that if someone is passing away, could you come back and let me know? Just, something, wind, whatever, just let me know what's going on. Okay. So there are four main theories, basically, about what happens when we pass from this life, and one of which is that the soul continues, your individual self continues, right? So that's the Christian idea, you go to heaven, that kind of thing, right? The other one is that there's reincarnation, right? Where our souls are reincarnated and we come back. We may not remember who we were, but we're here to learn lessons, and then we're going to learn more lessons. And if we didn't learn the lessons before, maybe we go back to a previous not as good a life, and that if we learn good lessons, then we evolve on up. So that's another thing. The other is this idea that you kind of return to the whole. Your individuality may be sort of just merged with a greater whole, so it's sort of there, but not really. It's part of something, so you think we merge with love, with the universe, right? And then, of course, there is, nope, we're done, right? It's over. There's nothing left, and we simply live on in people's love and memories and that kind of thing. So I personally believe, I don't think that we continue in a same personal kind of narrative way. I might lean a little bit more toward going toward the whole. I don't believe that death is simply nothing, simply because too many people have had experiences that point to something different. And also, reality is far stranger than our current understanding. The other thing that I find interesting is that consciousness, we don't know really what it is. It's still one of the great mysteries of humanity and our lives, is what is this thing called consciousness? So whatever happens, I don't think it's about reward or punishment, personally. And it's just more about transformation. So those are my ideas. Do you have some for me you'd like to? Okay. What question are you hoping not to get? That one. I honestly don't know. I want to be hoping. Which are you hoping not to get? I'll have to think about that one. I haven't really. Okay, let's see here. On a scale of 1 to 9, where does this church? Where does this UU church rank environmental issues in its church priorities? That's an interesting question. I would say on a scale of 1 to 9, I would say probably 6 to 7. I think there's still a lot of things that we can do to be more environmentally friendly here. And if someone would like to help out with that, I think, like we've talked about arranging, ride share, that type of thing, and that hasn't happened. There's a lot of things that we can do, I think, better, but I do think we're getting there. We're doing the Environmental Film Festival. We try to do things like the cups we use for coffee are recyclable, and things like that we're trying very hard to do. We wanted to make this sanctuary more that way, but it was also just really expensive, and we were already up to $3 million, so we didn't get to do as much as we would have liked to do with that. What's that? Earth Justice is coming very soon. So at the end of March, we're going to be having some people from Earth Justice come to speak about what we can do. So I think that it is a pretty high priority. I'd love to see us do some more. Okay. Let's see. Is it cool to hang around here without becoming a member? If when I decide to become a member, what are the responsibilities required? If they need to be minimal right now, will that work? Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. So a lot of people here become friends of the church. They're just not people who like to join for whatever reason. They're absolutely amazing, wonderful people. I'm looking at one right now. And they support the church in all kinds of ways. To me, they're members. It's just they haven't signed a book, and that's okay. So, what are the responsibilities that are required? So, there's a couple things that we invite people to do. Okay, one of which is come on Sunday. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Find something that feeds your soul. Maybe it's a small group or a book group or something that choir, strummers and drummers, all that kind of thing. Find something that just feeds you, and then find some way to give back to the church, whether it's helping out ushering on Sunday morning, or being part of the AV team on Sunday, or something that can help with the church. And then, of course, there's also pledging. There's making a financial contribution to the church. And we're going to be talking about that in the coming weeks. As we launch our pledge drive, this is how we support the church. How much you give, we never tell you how much. I always say, give until it gives you joy. So like when I hit that pay OCUC button on my bank account, that brings me joy that I know that I'm supporting this church. We don't want little Johnny's college fund. We don't want you to skimp out on anybody's college fund or anything like that. Just, understand that's how we support the church. Now, I will say that there are some people, particularly those who are parents, or maybe they're at a stage in their life when they just simply don't have the energy and time, whether due to age or to their physical well-being in some shape or form, that just simply can't. And that's okay, because you're going to be here for a very long time. And no now does not mean no later. So do what you can, and don't worry about it. We just want you to be here and be a part of this community, truly. That is the main thing. So I hope that answers your question. Let's see here. Do we have plans to institute a PR office to advise the public at large of our presence in our new sanctuary? Would you like to start one? we did a lot of outreach for our new sanctuary when the time came. We are looking at how we are going to grow and how do we get the word out there. There are, I'm going to talk about it tonight on our Zoom town hall meeting, a little bit about what people are going to be looking at and how we're going to learn about how we grow and all of those sorts of things. So I don't know that there's a PR office per se. Nina, where's Nina? I know she's here. She's teaching. Okay, Nina is our PR person. She is amazing. Right? She does stuff all the time on Facebook and Instagram and all sorts of things for us. So right now, no, but I'm sure she would be happy to have some help. All right. Tony, sorry, I shouldn't say those words. Sorry. What is mysticism? I get a whole service on mysticism, and it never occurred to me when I did it to explain what mysticism is. People were like, is it a religion? Like, what is it? What's mysticism? So mysticism is a way of experiencing the holy, and it's one that exists in every single religion out there. They have a mystic arm. The Christians have it. The Jews have it. We call it Kabbalah. Right? You've got, in Islam, it's Sufism. These are people who experience oneness with the holy. And how they do that is through various techniques, but also simply having an experience. Like I think of, this is the problem of turning 60. Thomas Merton. So Thomas Merton was at the corner of Walnut and something or other in Louisville, Kentucky, and he stepped out of a building, and suddenly it hit him as he looked around to everybody that he was one with them all. That every person was him and he was every person. He had this oneness experience that was just profound for him. And there literally is a plaque on the building where this occurred for him. And that's a mystic experience as well. It doesn't have to be with this. It could be horizontal as well as vertical. So that's mysticism. So I love mysticism. I've had mystical experiences that are hard to explain. And that's the problem with mysticism, is it's really hard to explain. So let's see here. Why should folks volunteer at church? Well, if you want to keep it running, this is the, as the choir was, or Amy was singing, we all need one another, right? This is part of how church is and what community is. And I think that one of the things that so here's the thing. I didn't grow up in a church at all. So I learned how to do church when I came to Unitarian Universalism, which was in my early 40s, late 30s, something like that. And it was very new to me. I didn't understand what it takes to run an organization and really what community is. Because community is not like everybody holding hands and going kumbaya, right? Unfortunately, it's just not. There are going to be kumbaya moments. There's going to be mystical moments. There's going to be moments that are absolutely profound and amazing. And there's going to be those times when that sermon, boy, it hits you right in the gut and you're just, transformed. But a lot of the times it's, oh, that was nice. I love the choir. It's about building something together, about the community coming together and learning how to be with one another when we don't always think alike, but we can love alike, right? Thank you. So that's the toughest thing. And so in order to do that, we've got to then make it all work. And I am the only full-time employee of this church. Steve and Susan are part-time, as is Sarah, as is Danielle. So we need volunteers to help make it run. Because if you think that like Sunday morning just sort of happens, you've seen the volunteers, right? That's what it takes. So, all right. How has your background in classical archaeology informed your ministry? Ooh. So for those of you who don't know, yes, I have a background in classical and Near Eastern archaeology. I was studying to be a professor in that. And how has it informed? I think it's informed it in a number of different ways. One of which is I love research. I love digging into things and just literally and figuratively. Really getting into the meat of things and what's happening behind things and everything. The other great thing is that my period that I loved to study was actually late Greek and early Roman, which is right at the time of Christianity, right in the beginnings of Christianity. So those of you who have taken classes with me around the historical Jesus or early Christianity, I bring a lot of that in, and I love it. I love that I can actually use it because it cost me $80,000, so I bloody well better use it in whatever way I can. So so I think those are the two things that I remember. I remember my professor when I told him that I was leaving, he said, "Sean, we have two goals here. One of which is that you will contribute to the ongoing scholarship of your field, and the other is if you've become a better person. And if we've done half our job, we've done well." And I feel like it did make me a better person. And in part, it helped me realize who I really wanted to be. I didn't want to be a heady person. I wanted to be a heart person. And so that was part of my transformation and then my call to ministry. Let's see here. I should do some online here. Let's see here. Why did you decide to become a minister? You had a successful biz career. Yes, I did have a successful business career. I used to work overseas running some offices for a company, and I missed that money, but no, I'm just kidding. I'm paid quite well. You guys are great. So why did I decide to become a minister? It was a calling. It's a hard thing to explain a calling because it literally feels like a tugging of your heart. Like, you need to go this way. I'm like, this way or this way? No, this way. Oh, okay. So it's kind of this back and forth thing. It's a really weird process to go through. And I just kind of kept listening to Spirit, to just like, what am I called to? What am I called to? Over and over again. And when I finally heard the word ministry, I laughed. Like, you've got to be kidding me. I don't do ministry. I don't do church. I grew up anti-church. My parents were very much, I had an atheist father and a very agnostic New Age mother. They were both very suspicious of churches, and so that was a hard transition for me to make initially. So if you're coming here today going, I don't know about church, we've been there, done that, yeah. And then I discovered Unitarian Universalism, and the rest was basically history. But it wasn't, I guess you said, why did you decide? It wasn't a conscious sort of like, I'm going to go be a minister now. And I know some people who do that. It was something that I truly was a calling. I don't know how else to explain it. Let's see here. What are your thoughts about life after death? Well, I think I answered that one already. Let's see here. Oh, Ezekiel, I love you. Ezekiel Codswallop is asking this question. Those of you who know this person who's a card. Let's see here. Okay. So on the Reddit UU forum recently, I'm on that forum too. Okay. This question was posted. Can you be a Christian and also a UU? Yeah. Sure. Why not? I mean, we have Buddhists that are Unitarians. We have Jews who are Unitarians. We have Hindus who are Unitarians. I think that it would be hard to be a fundamentalist Christian and a UU, only because everybody here is saved, not just a few, right? So if you want to say saved in whatever form you want to understand that. So, but yeah, I mean, I love Jesus, as I've said before, and I consider myself sort of a follower of his teachings, as well as the Buddhas and many other people. So, am I a Christian? Maybe. Does that freak anybody out? I'm just curious. Okay. Okay. What's your current video game? He knows I'm a gamer. Guild Wars 2. So I know they have these terrible, like World of Warcraft has these terrible names all about war. But what I love about Guild Wars 2, personally, is that it's a game, it's an online game that you play with a ton of other people, right? You have a guild. The thing about Guild Wars 2 is it's known to be as friendly as any game out there. People are so nice. And there's a reason for it, what I won't go into, but they're incredibly nice people. And it also is something that can be as intense as you want it, so I could do raiding and all that sort of fun stuff, or I can just go and explore, and it's fun to explore in this thing. You know, you find a crevice and you jump down, and suddenly you're in a maze and you didn't know you had it, and there's this ghost who's trying to get you all. It's weird, but anyway, it's fun. So that's my current. Video game. So does Unitarian Universalism have a history of pacifism? Yes, to some extent. For the most part, Unitarian Universalists are anti-war. Whether or not they're complete pacifists like, say, the Quakers, we leave that up to the individual and how they want to decide on that. See, in 30 seconds, we can go from gaming to pacifism. That's this. All right. But there has been a long history of people here being anti-war, that kind of thing within our denomination. So I hope that answers your question. So I'll do something here. Let's see here. Let's see here. How do we get more people involved in making the world a better place? Even in these turbulent times, apathy seems to run rampant. Boy, that's a big question that deserves a sermon all into itself. I think that one of the things that I would say is that there are a number of things that turn people off and make them apathetic. One is the vitriol that happens. Most people, particularly white people, middle-class white people, tend to not like anger. We don't want to be in a place where there's angry or anything that's going on like that. It just makes us, right? So one of the things I love about the No Kings marches is that they're so much fun, right? Like they're just full of joy and people coming together, and you get to read funny signs and all sorts of things. But I guess my feeling is you do you, let other people do them. And instead of bringing all this, I want to say, vitriol or anger towards something, invite people to ask them, what tugs at your heart? What do you feel? And invite them to express themselves, because sometimes that's a really hard time. People feel very shut down if they're yelled at. I can't believe this happened again. You know, that sort of thing. Oh, okay, I'm going away over here. I know this. My father, whenever he would get angry, we would all just shut down. We'd all go, okay, I'm going over here. Dad's getting angry. He rarely ever got angry, but that anger that comes up can make people feel uncomfortable. And it's certainly justified anger. Nobody would ever say that. There's a lot of anger going on out there in the world. But if you can invite others to tell you about what makes them passionate, that can help getting them thinking about what it is that they want to do. And the other thing is just kind of like let yourself do you and go out and model to the world. Don't worry about others. You do you. All right. Oh, Sherry. Okay, I'm sorry. I just did it again. Okay, with our commitment to love in the center, how do we deal with the evil of people like Jeffrey Epstein? Really good question. I think that, one of the things that when we say love is at the center of all that we do, it's also at the center of justice, and it's at the center of how we treat victims as well. So if we look at the evil in the world, like someone like Jeffrey Epstein, what is the most loving thing that we can do for someone like that? Maybe it's putting them in jail. Maybe it's, I'm not entirely sure, but to me, it would not be violent, because that's just feeding the whole process. So yeah, putting love at the center is asking, okay, what can we do for the victims? What can we do for the people who now have lacked trust? What can we do for those who abetted this? What does justice look like? Because, right, love is justice in public, right? Or justice is love in public. Yeah, so that's the thing about love, is that it's not always about a soft, warm, fuzzy feeling. Sometimes, we talk about tough love. Sometimes you have to make really hard choices about how you treat someone. All right, let me see here. Okay, this is an interesting one. Some individuals are called upon by some police departments to help find missing crime victims, and these people claim to detect a death energy at the crime scene. Do you have any insight on this claimed phenomenon? I think that, again, we talk about consciousness. It's a big mystery to us. We don't know what a consciousness is. We don't know what intuition is even. So if someone is picking up on intuitive clues that maybe other people don't pick up on, that could be truly physical, but they also could be simply energetic. We don't know. We all know that we're animated by energy. Something is coursing through us in an energy. And maybe there is things that we can pick up that we don't know. I've experienced this. I've gone to places, like when I arrived here for the very first time, and this is before actually the congregation had moved to this place. They were over on Victoria. And I remember the search committee brought me onto this campus, and I knew that this was the place I wanted to be. I just knew it. Like, it's a weird bodily thing. And I've had these intuitive feelings before, and I don't know where they come from. I don't know, but I was very anxious to come here because I wanted to see would I have that feeling, and sure enough, I did. So this is something that we don't entirely understand, how energy works and how the energy that we put out into the world works as well. So to me, it's a lovely, interesting mystery, and if they can help solve crimes, go for it. To me, it's not necessarily something we should worry too much about. If it works, it works. So I'm a shamanic practitioner. I can't prove that there are helping guides that help me in the world, but hey, it works for me, and that's what I'm going with. So let's see here. All right. Can or do you tape your messages? Yeah. They're taped and put up on YouTube and Instagram by our wonderful Nina every week, usually within a few days of the service. Let's see. Do you have a list of the storytime books you've read online? Don't. You'd have to that's a really interesting question. I don't. I guess that's the answer. If it's something that someone is interested in, it's something that maybe we could put together for a later time. Well, this one I kind of answered, but the second part, but the first one is, are you scared of death? I would say I'm not scared of death. I'm really nervous about dying. That process of your body falling apart and not being able to do things. I think that's what most people, when they say they're afraid of dying, that's usually what most people are talking about. And I think that's pretty normal. I'm a control freak as much as anybody, and I don't like to lose control of my body. And I just turned 60, and I'm like, okay, when did that happen? And so I'm getting, I'm like at the last third of my life, and it's starting to come to me like, okay, am I taking care of myself? How can I do this? All of those things. So, yeah, I don't know if I would say scared, but definitely anxious about it would be there. Please tell us about universalism. Okay, universalism. So, we have these two aspects of our faith. One is Unitarianism and one is Universalism. And they merged together in 1961. They were two separate denominations. And Universalism was the belief, both of them, by the way, came out of the Christian tradition. Universalism was the belief that absolutely everybody was saved, that God's love was so great that when Jesus died on the cross, everybody is saved, right? There were a couple of different caveats to that. There were like a couple of different ways of understanding universalism. For some people, it was like absolutely everybody, when you die, you're reconciled. Other people said, well, maybe there's a time of punishment for those who are really evil, the Jeffrey Epsteins of the world. I think that was called Relian Universalism. But the overall, everybody is saved kind of won out in the long run. And I will say that also, as a theology, it's pretty much won the day. In other words, if you go to a mainline Christian church, they're almost all universalist in their theology. They don't tell people that you're going to hell. Fundamentalists might still, but mainline, no. We won that theological battle. And to some extent, even Unitarianism as well. All right. Oh, interesting. If homosexuality, the word, wasn't in the Bible before 1946, what was happening in the church or Christianity at this time that shifted focus on labeling this group of people? So, yeah, when there's a number of words in the Bible, particularly in Paul, and I think there's one in Hebrew as well, that we don't know how to translate. And we know that they're talking about something sort of bad, right? But we don't know what it is. And when the word homosexuality sort of became more popular around in like 1946 or so in the 40s, it got put on that word, right? Whether or not it actually means that, we have no actually idea. So what was happening at that time was that you had LGBTQ people coming more and more out. It's becoming something that people are starting to talk about, to think about, all that sort of thing. And the church didn't like that. And so they took that word and said that word is homosexuality. And so they made it evil, right? Or something that you weren't supposed to do. And, you know, unfortunately, the world, you know, people in power often love a scapegoat, right? So that was the scapegoat at the time. And unfortunately, that stuck for a very long time and is still there for many in the church. But it's wrong. We don't know what that word means. We don't know. And even if it did mean that, who cares? It's Paul. I mean, Paul is not God. Paul is not Jesus, okay, you know? And even if Jesus had said that, I would be like, you know, they not like they know everything. Okay, whatever. So, all right. What first drew you to a UU church? I was driving a Golf at the time. Let's see here. What drew me to a UU church? Well, what actually happened, when I got the call and I realized it was something to do with church and ministry, I was like, I gotta go find a church, but I don't do creeds. I can't do, you know, something that says, you know, God from light from light, all that sort of thing. And I was talking one day to she was actually my boss, her name was Brenda, and she and I used to have these lovely theological conversations because she was in seminary, actually. And I was telling her my dilemma because she was really open to things. She said, well, tell me what you believe. And I told her something, I'm not entirely sure what it was. And she said, oh, you're a UU. And I'm like, I'm a what? And it turns out she had actually grown up Unitarian Universalist. And she said, the only reason why I'm at a Methodist church is because they really need me for AV. So, Liz, Avery, you're not allowed to go, okay. So I was like, oh, okay. So that was basically how I came to my first church. The first church I went to was in Bellevue, Washington, in Seattle. And it's a big church. It's like I don't know, 500 member church or something like that, right? And I remember, I'm in there. I don't do church, right? So I go in kind of suspicious, and sure enough, I see a white male on the stage, and I'm a little like, I don't know about this. And I don't even remember what he spoke about. Actually, I later did a field placement with, he's a lovely guy. But I remember these women with scarves like surrounded me. And I guess the women's group had decided that they were going to take on welcoming new people. And so these women with these big scarves, it was this sort of wealthy church and everything, and they sort of surrounded me. And I remember kind of sitting in between them as they talked around me. And I was like, okay, this is too much. I can't handle this. So I went to a small church the next week. I went to Woodinville, Unitarian Universalist Church. It's about the same size as we are. They had just built a sanctuary, just like us. And I remember looking around going, they're wearing Birkenstocks. Okay, I could do this. Okay. And plaid shirts. Okay, I can handle this. And the minister was also another male, but he was a Buddhist. And I love Buddhism. And so that's how I sort of ended up to a UU church. Anyway, and I have not looked back ever since then. All right, and let's see here. Oh, we're way past time. Sorry, guys. I could do this all day. We are going to, unfortunately, I am going to have to cut things off. I will try to answer some of these questions, like in emails or anything like that. So, thank you all for your questions, and I'm sorry I didn't watch the time a little bit better. But please join and rise in body or spirit, and please join Ted in singing, Answering the Call of Love.
The promise of Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide. And so every soul is blessed, made whole. The truth in our hearts is our God. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning, when love will not divide. Reflections of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one, emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim. We are answering the call of love. We are answering the call of love.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting. We raise all the funds for our operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We're grateful to you for sharing your gifts with us in whatever form they take. OCUC shares one half of the plate with a valuable community organization. This month we're sharing the plate with Share Ourselves, who is our neighbor up the street. They provide comprehensive health and support services for the entire community, including financial assistance and also food distribution. So there are multiple ways you can support the mission of the Share Ourselves and our church. You can see them on the screen. If you're a roomer, you can also simply use the basket as it's passed around. The choice is yours. Check out our website for more information. And thank you so much for your generosity.
At the start of any given day, there is mystery available. There is a game waiting for an open heart to say yes. Here I am, I'll play. And if we're smart, we'll listen to the way, and all the misery that held us down, we'll let it fade. Let it be outshined by a simple spark of a life that's waiting to be made. It's waiting to be made. What will you make of this day? What will you keep? What will you change? What will you see? What will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide what you will make? At the start of any given day, there is history and poetry. There is a play, but you're not in the audience. You are the star. So get out there and say what you will make. What will you make of this day? What will you keep? What will you change? What will you see? What will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide just what you will make of this day? What will you keep? What will you change? What will you see? And what will you believe? What will you make of your dreams? Will you keep sleeping, or will you awaken and decide what you will make?
Please join in singing our response to the offertory. We Gather Together is a song that puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts we share. We gather together, we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
Well, now is a time when we honor the important events and people in our lives, and you are invited, one and all, whether you're a member, friend, or visitor, to participate in this weekly ritual we call Joys and Sorrows. I'd like to invite Judith Stamper up here. She's one of our pastoral care team members, and she's going to assist in lighting candles. And the idea is, if you've come here today holding something in your heart, something profound that you would like to honor, a joy or a sorrow, a hope, whatever it is, you can come forward and light a candle. If you want to share that with the community, you can write it out on a slip of paper. The ushers have them, and if you raise your hand, if you didn't get one when you first came in, they're always by the doors, by the way, when you first come in. You can write it out. Just hand it to me after you or before you light your candle, and then I'll read those out loud. And of course, Zoomers, you can write it in the chat. and Judith will then light a candle for you. So please come forward, and then we will read those joys and sorrows out loud. Someone lit a candle that says, "Happy birthday to Reverend Sian."
That if you're a minister and you pass a decade mark on your birthday, that we will make an exception to our 90-year-old requirement, and we will sing happy birthday. You'll have to wait till next decade for that.
Okay, yes. I plan on being here for the next decade, so... and then I'll probably retire, but, you know. Let's see here. All right. Okay, Judith lit a candle of joy. This is Judith here. She said, "My lovely husband Steve celebrated his birthday this week." So what is his birthday? Yeah. 18th, so mine's the 16th, his is the 18th. There we go. All right. Elizabeth K. lit a candle of joy and relief. She said, "After much," underlined, squared over, "much tribulation, the district approved my paid FMLA leave for 12 weeks, and previously it was unpaid with restricted benefits. Looking forward to focusing on myself and my art therapy." So congratulations. Oh, and Jeff lit a candle of hope. Says, tomorrow and next few days, I will be going into chemotherapy round 2. Oh, let's hold Jeff in our hearts. And Simone lit also a candle of hope, she says, for Nancy Guthrie and her family. Now, many of you here know Pat Larkin. She just ducked out because she had this to say. She says, it is with both joy and sorrow that I share my decision after 55 happy years in California to soon return to my native New York State and my family. She says, thank you, Reverend Sean, and everyone for your kindness and goodwill these past 7 years. God bless you, one and all. Yeah. I think she couldn't handle the goodbyes, so she decided to leave. And Linda Kay said she lit a candle of sorrow. She said, my brother died yesterday, and I want to light a candle for him. Yeah, I'm sorry, Linda. Linda, by the way, is one of our newest members here. So, yeah, in the blue. Next to Ernesto, another new member. All right, online, Judith, can you light a candle for Francie? She says, thank you so much for your cards and calls while I recoup from my injured arm. Warms my heart and soul and helps me heal. Much gratitude. And Sarah H., all the way down in Atlanta, she says, I am a volunteer driver for Freedom University. The mission of Freedom University is to help undocumented students with life skills, mental health, and getting into college. Georgia is a state that does not accept undocumented students, so these students rely on private colleges. I drive them to the school where they do not have a ride, when they do not have a ride. I get joy from being with them. They are wonderful. That is fabulous. And Sarah C., she says, a joy, love to dance and start a diary for health to food and walking on the beach. She said also, I'm trying to understand what she was saying here, but to be loved, to find a good health, and like to walk on the ocean. I think she wants someone to do these things with, is what I'm getting from there. So, all right, let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful, and our concerns remind us to hope. And of course, our sorrows remind us to connect with one another, because all these moments remind us that we are not alone. I'd like to invite Judith up here to invite you to join her in a spirit of prayer or meditation.
This is called a gift. Just when you seem to yourself nothing but a flimsy web of questions, you are given the questions of others to hold in the emptiness of your hands. Songbird eggs that can still hatch if you keep them warm. Butterflies opening and closing themselves in your cupped hands, trusting you not to injure their scintillant fur in their dust. You are given the questions of others as if they were answers to all you ask. Yes, perhaps this gift is your answer. Blessed be.
So let's join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say,
We extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are all together again.
So thank you all for joining us this morning. If you're a guest, a visitor, or someone who's new to our church, I invite you to get to know this beloved community. If you'd like to know more about our church, we invite you to either stop by the welcome table, which is right out there as you leave, or we have lots of information for you, or you can reach out to us through one of these emails up here. So we would like to connect with you. We want everyone to feel a part of this community. So Zoomers are welcome to stay after and chat with one another online. Roomers, one way we can build community is by going to the card table out in the courtyard after the service and writing a little message to our members to encourage them in whatever life event they are experiencing. Our community is built on a foundation of love. So please reach out and we will help you get connected.
And look at all these ways that we can connect. Today, I want to point out that there is a lunch bunch going on. This is a tradition that was going on for a number of years, and it's going to be starting back up again. Basically, the idea is after church to head on over to get some pizza or whatever where they're going to have the lunch bunch. So it's going to be basically at 12 o'clock, maybe 12:15, kind of around in there. And who's leading this? Is that Melanie over there is leading it? So if you have any questions about it, talk to Melanie. She's absolutely fabulous. So if you want to get to know an amazing person, Melanie is your gal. So just come on out. It's a great way to meet new people, to just sit around and chat and talk about things and say, did you like that answer Reverend Sean said? I don't know about that. So the other thing is that we are going to have a town hall meeting this evening. I don't anticipate it being long or anything like that, but what we're trying to do is as we're trying to grow and become more love in this wonderful community of ours in Orange County, we're trying to do this very intentionally. And some of you were here in early January, so you know what this is all about, OCU 2.0. So if you want to learn more about it, you can also go on there, but it's also just to let you know what's been going on, what we're working on, so that you're kept informed and all of that. So that's going to be 7 o'clock tonight on Zoom, so absolutely everybody can be there. I will hopefully record it if you can't make it, if I remember to hit record. But please come on. It is the same link that we use for worship. So if you get that email every day that says, here's your worship link. All of you on Zoom, you know what that is. It's the same link for this one. I will also be sending out an email later today to everyone with that link as well, and a little reminder. So come on, bring your questions to then, not theological questions, but questions about how we're going to do this. Like I said, I don't anticipate it. It could be 15 minutes, it could be 45 minutes, it could be an hour, but I won't go beyond an hour. All right. Yes, I know I can talk. Okay. So I just want to say never stop asking questions because answers often lead to wisdom. So let us sing our recessional song.
Let's go out and all to our hearts. Let's go out. Bring joy, bring God. Let us go out with a different joy. Let us go out in joy. Let us go out and all to our hearts. Let us go out. Bring joy, bring God. Let us go out with a different joy. Let us go out in joy. Let us go out in joy. Let us go out in
Welcome back, Phil. This service is over. Let our service continue.